I fucking love the Sega Genesis, but it's not the most portable thing in the world. And I don't like the Sega Nomad because I don't like spending money. And I certainly don't like spending money on motherfucking batteries. So, enter the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable. There are several variations on this concept from the same company, including a blue-colored version of the same handheld with different games included, an arcade stick, a strange motion-based version, and there's even another handheld that's designed roughly the same that plays Master System and Game Gear games. These all retail for a relatively low price depending on which of these systems you pick up, and most of them offer an SD slot for adding more games to the portable, a huge selling point for these consoles. While the directions aren't terribly clear on how to actually add games to an SD card, a quick peek on the internet will clear up all confusion pretty quickly. I have to stress that this does not require any 9th level kind of nerd skills to figure out. In my experiences with downloading Genesis ROMs, I've found that most tend to be in a .gen format, which is easily recognized by such emulators as gens, which I really like to use. However, for whatever reason, your ROMs will need to be in a .bin format to be recognized by the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable. Also, I do believe that most emulators can run ROMs directly from a zipped folder, but that is not the case with this bad boy. You'll first need to unzip the folder that the ROM is in and then convert it to a .bin file. I was recommended Gen ROM Suite and have found it works fantastically. And now that your ROM can be recognized by the ATgames Portable, you'll need to create a folder on your SD card called Games, or Game, or some shit like that. Just drop your ROMs in that folder and before long, you'll be playing Gunstar Heroes on the can like a real man. The portable itself is made out of mediocre plastic. It's not nearly as well built as something like a Game Boy, but even in my most pissed off drunken shmup sessions, this thing didn't snap in half or crack. I actually find the system to be quite attractive, and when I look at it on my bookshelf, I always kind of want to pick it up. The orange isn't too bad on the eyes, but I think the blue color would have sat a little better with me. Everything's placed logically and pretty comfortably on the fucking thing. And the volume spinner, which is kind of odd to see these days, can be easily manipulated with your right index finger, and the power slider can just be turned on and off with your thumb. The start button and the menu function buttons are also smartly placed, and can be comfortably reached with your thumbs. The unit is charged via an included USB cable, but what may surprise you is that the unit is only charged through the USB. There is no interaction. If you want to add games to an SD card, you'll have to yank that fucker out of the unit and then jam it into your computer to interface with it. The system supports AV out, however it's only in mono, which is a goddamn shame. However, this is mildly cancelled out by the surprisingly decent video quality, and there'll be more about that later. A wonderful feature of the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable is that much like any other emulator, there's no region lockout, meaning I can play games like Mega Man The Wily Wars or Pulse Man, two favorites of mine. I'd rather not go into the legality of this, but I find it to be a great feature and the top selling point of this portable. The screen is definitely on the small side, perhaps just a tad too small, and while I can't tell you whether the Nomad was backlit or not, I honestly can't remember, the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable is fantastically backlit. It's not nearly as bright as, say, my Android phone, but it offers just about the right amount of light to keep from washing games out too much. Most of all, the price point of the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable is a huge plus. I picked this thing up for $35 brand new at a used game shop. Amazon prices vary wildly, but try to find one of these in a store as you'll likely not have to pay very much money at all. Unfortunately, the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable is far from perfect. The first thing I'd like to mention is the selection of games included on the portable itself. Games like Game Ground, Kid Chameleon, and Shinobi 3, and Sonic & Knuckles are all fucking great games, but shit like E-SWAT, Alien Storm, and Sonic Spinball are complete fucking garbage. Much of the rest of the titles fall into the middle of the road or plagued by another one of the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable's faults, the inability to play multiplayer games. Golden Axe is so much more fucking fun with 2 players as opposed to 1, as is something like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and even Altered Beast. If, like myself, most of your gaming is a solo affair, this is not a huge drag, but with the ability to use the AV outs and play on my HD TV in my living room, it's definitely a bummer that some 2-player NBA Jam can't happen. Another huge disappointment is the inability to save anything when using this portable. Even if you're playing a game that supports battery backup, you cannot save your progress. There are no save states available to soothe the burn either, so please stow away any grand illusions of playing Phantasy Star 4 through to the end on this thing. Also, while I found the portable to be attractive and relatively comfortable to hold, I found the actual buttons to be a tad on the shit side. The D-pad is welcoming and even quite comfortable, but its accuracy leaves a metric shitload to be desired. Even something simple like going from running to rolling in a Sonic game can be imprecise and difficult, and it's also pretty fucking wretched for fighting games, despite the obvious advantage of supporting 6 buttons as opposed to the original 3-button design. Oh, and speaking of the buttons, good lord do they fucking suck. The button placement is severely sloped, which is maddeningly uncomfortable in some games. I found Kid Chameleon to actually be somewhat painful to play, especially if you're trying to lay down and play like I like to do. The actual integrity of the buttons isn't half bad, and there's definitely plenty of games that play perfectly fine with unique D-pad and odd button layout. Just don't expect to kick ass at Street Fighter as you would on an actual Genesis pad. The biggest and most unforgivable sin that the ATgames Ultimate Arcade Portable commits is its completely awful sound. Even the most casual gamer is going to be able to tell that something is definitely fucky with a lot of games. Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Street Fighter 2 are perfect examples of this thing completely botching the sound. I can't tell if one of the channels is lower or higher than it should be, but a lot of the games have an incredibly noticeable difference in sound quality. And it should also be noted that the speaker on this thing is fucking ass and should be turned way the fuck down or just bypassed with headphones. And that'll only further highlight the fact that a lot of your games are not going to sound right. Overall, I don't regret buying the ATgames Arcade Ultimate Portable one bit. I'd read reviews on Amazon before purchasing it, so I knew what I was getting into. The AV out option is a big draw, as is the battery life and SD card support. I hope this review will help you decide whether one of these belongs in your collection or is best left to be pointed and laughed at as it rots on the shelf. If you have one of these or would just like to talk about the Sega Genesis as a whole, leave a comment below, and of course please like and subscribe to support my channel, and most of all, thank you for watching.